If your desire is to be prosperous, look at cycles, look at averages, understand that people, yes, get lucky once in a while, but those who are successful, they look at the law of averages, they look at cycles, and they make decisions accordingly.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Welcome back, one and all. Dustin Harris hanging out once again in the podcast chair. We are cruising through the principles of prosperity. And I want to pause first and remind you that we are sponsored by a great company called ANow. ANow, boy, more and more appraisers are switching to ANow, and they should. If you want more time back in your life and allow technology to work for you, ANow is your software. Check them out by going to anow.com. That's ANOW.com. All right, folks, we are cruising through the principles of prosperity, and we are on principle number 10 today. Principle number 10 is that averages and cycles rule the universe. Averages and cycles rule the universe. Sometimes this is called the law of averages. You have heard of this, I am sure. Folks, why is this important? Well, a lot of the decisions that we make are financial. A lot of the decisions we make are time management. A lot of the decisions that we make are health related, relationship related, so many things that rely on this particular principle of prosperity. Let's pause here and remind you of what the law of averages is. Again, the principle is averages and cycles rule the universe. And the definition is basically this, that the world tends to work on averages. Let's go to Vegas for a moment. If you are going to take a die and roll it, the chances of it always coming up 6 are very, very, very slim. Why? Because the law of averages. Chances are that 6 will come up no more or no less overall than 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. In other words, the law of averages says that if you roll a die 1,000 times, you're going to have as much chance of rolling a 2 as you would in rolling a 6. Well, Dustin, this doesn't make any sense. How am I going to get ahead if the law of averages always works? And I'm going to tell you how and relate it specifically to the appraisal profession as we get back from the break. But first, I want to pause here, remind you of a great company which will allow you to beat the law of averages. That's right. ANow software allows you to better manage your time because you will have more time to run your business and less time to be crunching the numbers and wondering where that late report is and wondering when the last phone call was from the AMC, wondering where that late report is, because all of it, folks, is taken care of right in the software itself. It's ANow. It stands for Appraisers Now. And right now, you can get 30% off for the first 3 months. Lots of appraisers have reached out to me over the last couple of weeks and said, Dustin, what's that coupon code again? All right, here you go. Ready? Podcast 30. That's PODCAST 30. Podcast 30 will give you 30% off ANow for the first 3 months. Welcome back to the program, talking about principle of prosperity, number 10, averages and cycles rule the universe. The law of averages stating that averages work for the most part. Things just kind of cycle and things just kind of work out. But Dustin, how in the world am I supposed to get ahead? How am I supposed to be successful if everything just kind of evens out? Well, folks, you learn to beat the law of averages because you understand the law of averages. If you educate yourself on what the average is and how that cycles, you can beat it. At least most of the time. Let me explain. During the pandemic, in fact, as the pandemic was beginning, it kind of started about March of 2020. And a lot of appraisers were wondering what was going to happen. And I myself thought, well, you know what? Hold on tight. This could be the thing that really kind of pokes a hole in the economy, and we as appraisers might have some problems. And one of the things that I did early on in the pandemic is I started to look at what was dropping quickly. And what was dropping quickly was travel, for obvious reasons, oil, for obvious reasons. And I started to look at this and say, you know what? The law of averages says that things are going to cycle. Eventually, we're going to come out of this pandemic. Eventually, we're going to get a vaccine. Eventually, we're going to learn to beat it. And eventually, these things will come back. But right now, things are low. So guess what I did? And by the way, folks, I'm not a stock guy. In fact, I think I had to set up an account just to start this about June of 2020. But I jumped into several stocks, including some cruise lines, including some airlines, and including some oil stock. And I bought low. And I looked at the trends over the years, and I bought really, really low. Now, folks, as of this recording, I have not sold any of that stock because it is still on its way up. But I can tell you that as of last week, I have doubled my money. That's right. Now, here's what has happened with most of those. Most of those were up here. They dropped down to about a third of what they were before, and now we're up to about 2/3 of what they were before. Thus, I've doubled my money. There's still another third to go, in my opinion. It might be a little too late if you're listening to this now to buy those stocks, but if you want a little bit of a raise, I have a feeling they're going to come right back to where they were, if not go higher than they were before. People will be itching to travel when this all ends, and they will get back to quote-unquote normal. Do you see how the law of averages works? So let's talk appraisals for just a moment. I say this often. We are in a cyclical business. We are in a cyclical business. Now, especially if you are doing mortgage work, if you're doing lending work, if you're doing Fannie Mae work. Folks, look at what has happened over centuries. This is up and this is down. Prices go up and prices cycle. How does that affect you? Well, folks, over the last year or so, we have had record-breaking numbers every single month. It's been incredible. This will not last. Let me repeat that. This will not last. Well, Dustin, how do you know? Are you a prophet? Well, kinda. I mean, all you have to do is look at the cycles, is look at the charts over the last decades. Things go up and things go down. I don't know when, but I know they're going to go up and I know they're going to go down. Now, are we in for a crash? I'm not predicting that at all. In fact, I don't think that will happen. But are we in for a correction? Sure. We can't continue to go up like we are going up forever. It becomes unsustainable at some point and the market has to correct. Folks, that's the law of averages. Again, these are the principles of prosperity. If your desire is to be prosperous, look at cycles, look at averages, understand that people, yes, get lucky once in a while, but those who are successful, they look at the law of averages, they look at cycles, and they make decisions accordingly. Speaking of making great decisions, have you made the great decision to join my dream team, to meet on a regular basis with incredible people, with incredible vision, who are helping you to achieve your goals? Folks, we have openings in almost every single one of our masterminds currently. Not a lot, 1 or 2 seats left in each of the masterminds that we meet across the country. Would love to have you be a part of that. Please check us out. Go to theappraisercoach.com/memberships.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.